Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Thanksgiving. This is a movie I've been waiting for, I guess, for like 16 years, around that. Yeah, since 2007 when I saw Grindhouse, and this was a fake trailer. And I thought, oh, that's a funny idea for like a Halloween ripoff since there are so many and they did every other holiday. Why didn't they do Thanksgiving? And I thought that was a cool idea at the time, and I still do. And I was excited to see, a 70s, late 70s, early 80s kind of throwback with Thanksgiving being the holiday involved. That's not what this is. And my image of what that could have been makes me think that could have been stylistically a lot cooler. However, I'm not reviewing a movie that doesn't exist. I'm reviewing this version. This is basically just a straight slasher film, basically. It is like if you made a slasher film now, and it's very to the genre, pretty precisely. These are all kind of like Agatha Christie whodunit type things with stabby stabs and stuff, and that's like what they are, and that's what this is. And it is fairly good at it. It's a really straight down the middle kind of B movie with a little more heart and fun in it than you'd expect from a lot of movies like this now. You can tell there's like something interesting going on with Eli Roth. Does he convey it very well? Not really. Does it matter if it does? Not really. This gives you a slasher Thanksgiving movie and does it in an efficiently tight way in a modern setting. And if you're cool with that, then I think Thanksgiving will probably meet you with all the stuffing. Thanksgiving is about, there was a Black Friday kind of sale that started on Thanksgiving. They opened the doors and there was a stampede and it killed a ton of people. It was a mass tragedy. And a year later, a pilgrim-looking person is killing off people who were involved in that from some video that is out. And you have the daughter of the guy who owns this, I think it's called Right Mart, let it be open because she was there and sort of like indirectly, I guess, sort of started the riot. They're coming after her and her friends, and she's trying to sort of figure out what happened and how to stop it before all of her friends and the people involved in the kind of Black Friday stampede thing all get killed off one by one and then put on a Thanksgiving table that the killer has Instagram notifications go to them to tell them as he's killing them. And they have to figure out a way to stop this from continuing before they all get killed and chopped up and carved on Thanksgiving. Eli Roth has said in interviews and stuff that Thanksgiving means a lot to him, and he grew up in Massachusetts, which is kind of a big, I went to the Pilgrims village and stuff like that when I was a kid and all those things, so I know it is a big deal up there. I haven't been there for Thanksgiving, so I don't fully know, but he, I think, does have a certain amount of love for the holiday, but I think the Black Friday thing is a little weird, because Black Friday stuff, I want to counter that Black Friday is not the thing it was in the 2000s. I had to work on a Thanksgiving, actually. I didn't think of that until after this. There wasn't a stampede. It was like at a Virgin Megastore that doesn't exist in Union Square, New York. But I had to be there, and it totally sucked. It was like not a fun Thanksgiving at all. But if you work Thanksgiving, you didn't have to work Black Friday, which I guess was a good trade-off. Jesus, fucking retail's the worst. That was a thing in the 90s, and especially in the 2000s. And then it sort of ended, and it's sort of coming back, but it's not really. But at the same time, while I was listening to an interview with Eli Roth complaining about that, I got a notification for Amazon for Black Friday sales. So, and I've gotten tons of emails about more Black Friday stuff this year because Thanksgiving is more back. This is the first big Thanksgiving post-COVID. So as much as I want to say, I think he's making too much out of this Black Friday thing, I also checked my email today and I was like, there's a lot of them here. I think he has a point. So I don't know if it's I think that's a little outdated, but the whole idea of someone going after the rich who condemn the poor to be trampled so they could get this free stuff, I think that is in there. Does he express it as well as he expresses it in interviews and on Twitter or stuff like that? Not really in the film very well at all. It just sort of you sort of hate certain people and you get why some of them are dying, and you're sort of morally, I guess, feel yeah, definitely that person. But at the same time, it kind of doesn't work as well as you want it to. I think with all the wealth disparity right now, you want people like, yeah, kill the rich and stuff. And I don't know if it, like, because he's going after these high school kids, but they're also like very privileged. I don't know if it works as well because, like, you know, ultimately when you find out who the killer is, it has not as much to do with that. And the slasher thing, like, they do have a Halloween reference right at the beginning, so kudos to them for that. There are sometimes I'm like, is that a Halloween reference or is that just the slasher genre, or is it then both? Like, you're not, like, is that, I don't know. I know the opening shot was a Halloween reference. I don't even need to look that up, but it was a weird script because it goes from being very ironic and silly, and like I heard the audience laughing like they thought it was intentional, the jokes were intentional and stuff like that. And then you look at other parts and it feels very genuine, like kind of Studio B kind of horror film. And in past Thanksgivings, there was always this kind of B action movie or B horror, like straight down the line kind of B stuff. There was like Ninja Assassin, Faster with The Rock. I forget the name of it, but it was like a Jason Statham action movie, Stallone directed, and James Franco was the villain. And like they'd always have these like little things in there. And I always wanted to seek them out because it's always cool. And I will say the audience is usually the chillest one of the group on Thanksgiving weekend. And it sort of like does that very well. But the thing with those movies is only I remember them. They're fun to like put on and have a beer with, but they're not ones you like live with all the time. And I don't know if like of the few Thanksgiving horror films I've seen, like Blood Feast and Thanksgiving, I don't think this stands out among them, probably because those are very unconventional and are like fun to talk about and stuff. And this is just like, you know, oh, I got drunk after Thanksgiving and I fell asleep on the couch. This is like a perfect movie to do that. But it seemed like Eli Roth's direction was like he wanted to make a traditional slasher, and he did. He made like a perfectly tight B movie, and you could say that like what you wanted from this was something like Grindhouse, which is more an auteur kind of statement. It's like, it's very ironic, doing all these things, like playing with the genre. And he does that somewhat in the script, but it feels like he's more being like a workman, just a craftsman kind of director, which is kind of a weird property to try this with. Like, it feels like you could have more fun, like you could just do an 80s slasher, and I think like that would have totally worked, but he like doesn't do that and is using this sort of outdated thing. So I don't know. I think it works within what it's doing, but it feels like kind of like he doesn't fully know what, you know, he has Addison Rae, who's a big TikTok star, he clearly like understands the modern era, but like isn't really fully using it with all this stuff, and it's just like, that's confusing. It feels like this script has been around for a little bit in the story, and he has like ideas for one of them and doesn't want to give them up. Be this sort of like very mainstream, refined B movie. And, you know, that's fine. You know, if you're going with your siblings, you're like, let's go out and get drunk and watch this movie. I think Thanksgiving lives up to that. It's exactly what you want from that, and nothing more. And then no one will talk about it in a few weeks, which is totally expected. I'm fine with what the experience of this movie is. I just think like the premise and how it was introduced, it could have probably been more, and there's a lot of ways this could have been a lot more interesting, but it almost is so into its workman-like direction and its craftsman, and it's like Eli Roth, I guess, becoming just a studio director. It almost feels like, but like a decent one that like you can, it's kind of direction you can sort of rely on. I don't think there's a lot of directors who I think now who I don't see like any like sort of life in them, or I don't fully get what they're doing, and it's like, that's not what's going on here. He feels like an older guy who knows what he's doing with the camera and the story and stuff. I like that like the Grindhouse spin-offs have continued for so long. This is, I guess, the third or fourth movie. You can count both Machetes, and you don't consider Machete a Spy Kids spin-off or whatever. I think this is just a fun B movie. It's not really worth the build-up. I didn't expect it to be. I wish he had made like just an 80s sort of slasher film that was like we're out of holidays and we want to do another Halloween ripoff. That sounds fun. But I guess in like the modern sense and stuff, some of the kills are really ridiculous and don't make any sense, but just like go straight into gore. I've seen horror films where it's like you don't expect a crazy kill and then it happens, and sort of like the way the characters are acting, you wouldn't expect it, but then it's Eli Roth, so I sort of did. Certain actors I actually really like. Rick Hoffman as the dad, he was actually quite good. I don't know his work very well, but like him with the big mustache was like quite striking, like almost like perfect kind of a character actor role. Milo Monaghan, who I know from the zombies movies that my daughter watches. It was weird seeing him in like a movie that's like that I'm seeing by choice. He was good in it. I don't know if anyone else my age was noticing that, but you know, tell me in the comments how you feel with the zombies films. Everyone says Zombies 2 is the best, I guess. He was good. I could see him doing a little bit more in a horror movie and stuff. And then there was Patrick Dempsey. I liked his Massachusetts accent. I like Neil Veracqua. I don't know. She was very good as the final girl. Addison Rae was sort of just popular girl number 3. I did like one of the actresses. Suddenly her dad was like this like Swedish guy or something. That was like kind of a good bit for the limited amount of time they used it. This movie has some good bits. I do sort of like how fun and ironic the script can be in some places, but I sort of think it's like, why are we here? And we're here because the joke is of the joke of the Halloween ripoffs. And I kind of think it misses the whole point of even doing this, because like the point was like, haha, they've done Christmas, Valentine's Day, April Fool's, they've done everything, but they haven't done Thanksgiving, but now they have, you forgot. And it's like, that's the joke. And in this, it's like, what if we just made a straight B slasher film? And we're like, I mean, yeah, I get it to an extent, but I think like not going to 80s thing, the joke's not even there. So like, why the fuck, what is going on right now? It's like, I get that it's a Thanksgiving horror movie, and I like that they put in a lot of the kills from the trailer in there, not all of them, but a lot of them. I like that, and I think it's still a cool movie, but it does sort of feel like we're making this, you know, decently tight little horror film, but like the point of the whole thing was kind of specific, and like if you're gonna keep that, like shouldn't you have just like done that? Like that I don't get. So I'm not like fully mad at a movie I didn't get, but at the same time, like the whole point is to be a Halloween ripoff. And like this, it just plays like a typical kind of slasher thing, which is what Halloween ripoffs were. So maybe there's like a auteur sort of point to the whole thing, or he just did what all those guys did and just made the tightest and best slasher movie they possibly could, and hope it succeeds on those merits. In those merits, yes, it does. As the point of this whole thing, I don't understand why you'd make it this way, really. But I kind of, while I was watching it at least, met it at face value, which is totally what you should do. And if you're there to have some drinks and watch a holiday horror film and a Thanksgiving horror film, especially this year, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you will enjoy carving into this one. So if you have seen Thanksgiving and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.